Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and welcome to what I will hope will be an informative experience where we talk about every single race in the Forge and where I think they fall on a tier list. There's been 3 new races added to the Forge, so I think this is more relevant than ever, and in case you're wondering, we're going to go over every single race, what they do, what their applications are, and whether or not you should probably hold on to them. So, first things first, the human race. Now, this is a race that you start with in the Forge, and to be honest with you, it may not surprise you to learn that it's not all that good. You get 3% luck, 3% extra XP, which is absolutely fine early on in the game, but as you gain your achievements and you kind of progress, everything outpaces this number. You want to get off this as quickly as possible. I think it goes without saying, you don't want to be human. We're going to pop that straight into D. Next up on the list is the Elf. 15% stamina, 5% height, and a glorious 7% luck boost. The luck boost, if it's the best thing that you can possibly get and you end up stuck on Elf early, the 7% luck boost can be nice. It can help with a little bit of progression, but honestly, extra stamina and a little bit of extra height is not going to really improve your game all that much. It's not going to do much for you, and so it's probably sitting in the C tier. D tier is purely just for human, I think. There's really not much worse than it. C is not much better though, rest assured. Next up on the list is the zombie. Minus 25% health, 2% health regeneration every 5 seconds, and a 15% chance to convert incoming damage into health. Now, if this number was slightly bigger than 15%, I would actually think that zombie would be kind of a half decent race. Minus 25% health is obviously really rough, but at the end of the day, when you are pumping in a bunch of mithril or whatever into your armor or obsidian to get HP and armor and all that kind of stuff, you can maybe probably mitigate that, and the health regeneration is nice, but this is too bad for this to recover it. This number is just simply not big enough for it to be worth your while. And honestly, if you're playing zombie early game and you don't have better gear, there's a good chance this is actually going to hinder your progress because you're going to get killed so much easier by all the enemies. So it's definitely probably worse than Elf, but not by much. Next up on the list is our rare races. First up is Goblin. Tiny, minus 15% health, minus 15% size. Sneaky, plus 15% movement speed, and also attack speed with daggers. And finally, Bargain, 12% discount when shopping. Now, these things are not very good. The first 2 abilities that the Goblin has is kind of bad. However, Bargain is probably one of the most important abilities in the game that you can have if you are progressing through the game. If you are trying to get pickaxes earlier, if you're buying a lot of potions, if you're just trying to get up through the pickaxes and progress all the way up to endgame when you can finally let go of the Goblin, this is a class that is absolutely, maybe not S tier, but it is very close. It's definitely like high A tier. 12% is a lot of money. This discount can add up to hundreds of thousands of gold, even on just singular pickaxes on Island 3, so it's 100% worth. If you have the slot for it, just take it and keep it. You don't have to keep hold of it late game if you've already got the best pickaxe, but it's definitely worth your time if you happen to roll on it. Next up is Undead, minus 12% health. Sharp surfaces reflect 10% of the damage taken. Then in second chance as it refills 50% of health when health is under 10% every 5 minutes. Now, weirdly enough, I don't necessarily think that this is the worst class in the world. I think that there is some really niche applications that you can use of this particular class. Obviously, Fragile Bones is kind of rough. You don't really like that as an ability. However, Sharp Surface and Second Chance does open up the ability to AFK farm certain mobs once you get to a certain level of weapon and certain level of armor. A lot of people used to do it in the volcanic area where you would stand in the middle of the room and enemies would respawn, they would move into you and then attack you. If you have Briar Thorns on your armor, if you have Uranium on your armor, which also, so both of these things will reflect damage or deal damage to enemies that are standing around you, and also if you have the 10% damage reflection, you're able to kind of infinitely swing your sword, but even if you're not hitting something, still take out a lot of enemies and farm essence and also farm for runes. As well as that, if you're particularly strong, you end up not having to use health pots, so when you eventually do get whittled down to 10% HP, you refill up 50% of your health, and by the time that you go back down to that 10%, you're already got that 5-minute timer done. So this is a really niche usage for the class. It's a bizarre usage of the race, but I'm going to put it in B tier because there is some application for you in this game that you can utilize it for. Although, to be honest with you, it's kind of difficult to use. You have to be like very aware of your numbers. Next up on the list is Orc. It's heavy, minus 10% movement speed and also stamina, Muscular does 10% extra physical damage, 50% health, and 10% size. There's not really too much to look at this one. Having minus movement speed really sucks. The stamina isn't that bad, but it's still annoying. 10% extra physical damage is great. Health is great. Size, it is what it is. It just doesn't really do all that much. It's really not that exciting. It's kind of lame. The other ones kind of at least have some use cases to them, but if you don't have a combat class, you can absolutely use Orc, but that being said, I wouldn't get too excited over it. Next up, we have the epic classes. The first one on the list is Dwarf. It is heavy short, minus 20% height, minus 5% movement speed, gifted miner, plus 15% mining damage and 5% better forge, and then critically mining, 20% chance to deal plus 50% damage to rocks. This is going to be, without a doubt, zero questions, the first S tier class in the entire game. 15% mining damage, faster ore equals more money, 5% better forge. I mean, you have to buy a game pass to get 30% flat quality to your forges, so having this on a class that's 5% basically means if you have this in the Game Pass, you'll never get anything other than a masterwork 100% every single time. Unless you're truly bad at the minigame. And then critically mining as well has a chance to really speed up the rocks that you're taking. Dwarf is amazing. Even if you have Angel, Demon, Archangel, whatever, you need to leave yourself a spot because Dwarf has to fill one of them. It is seriously one of the best classes in the game. It's not great for fighting, it's not great for running around, but when you're mining and when you're forging, you should always have this equipped without a doubt. Next up is Shadow. Shadow Pack gives you 50% movement speed, 10% attack speed, stamina, 5% physical damage, and minus 10% health, but it also gives you a chance upon taking damage to turn into a shadow and dodge the attack. It's okay. It's not like a particularly bad class by any stretch of the imagination. I do think that if you are looking for a combat class, that you can absolutely settle on this one for a pretty long time until you eventually get something slightly better. Attack speed is fantastic, movement speed is great, especially if you're trying to farm ore or something like that and you don't have anything better or you're farming enemies for essence. Physical damage amplification is great, and also there's nothing wrong with 15% chance to turn into a shadow and dodge the attack. It's not a very high percent chance, but it's still something, so I would probably put this class in the high, I would say, I'd probably put it in high B tier. Next up is the Vampire, which gives you Bloodthirst, which is 50% lifesteal and also 10% damage boost with straight swords. Now, this class is unbelievably simple. There's not a whole tremendous amount to it, but I actually genuinely think that this is a really strong combat class if you're looking to farm essence. 15% lifesteal on top of you putting Drain Edge on one of your weapons, as well as a 10% damage boost with straight swords, which is a really high DPS weapon to be using, equals a class that can stick around for a long time. It can farm a lot of essence, it can farm a lot of money, and for that reason, I do think that it's worth putting it probably in the A tier. Maybe not as... Well, I think they're both pretty equal. They're different uses for them, but definitely it's Vampire's an A tier class. The healing on it is just too good to pass up. Okay, time to move on to the legendary classes. First up is the Minotaur, which is 20% health, minus 10% movement speed, minus 10% stamina, 10% height, and also width and depth. Its Bull's Fury is while it's under 50% HP, activates Rage Mode, increasing movement speed and physical damage by 30%. Listen, if you don't have a combat class and you manage to roll this, absolutely hold on to it. There's plenty of times when you're under 50% HP and you get Rage Mode and you can do a bit of extra damage. That being said though, there's a lot of combat classes that do a lot of these things or are stronger just in general without having to be under 50% health. This is not ideal if you're specifically farming lower level stuff. For instance, if you're happening to be farming for minor shards, like minor runes, you are never going to have this activate. It's just not ever going to activate, which means you're losing out on 30% damage and movement speed the entire time, and you're taking movement speed downs for it. So, whilst it's not the worst combat class ever in the game, I suppose, it's probably still going to end up high C tier. I just think that it doesn't really give any of the major stats that you want if you're actually trying to have a combat class. Extra physical damage and attack speed, those are really great things to have on it, and this one, sure, you do get some extra physical damage, and it is quite a big bump up, but it's only when you're getting clobbered at 50% health. So I guess if you're progressing through, like, up-to-date content where you're maybe struggling and your armor and weapons aren't as good, this could be a good class, but I think for the most part, for the majority of your run, we're looking for longevity here. This class could definitely use with a tune-up. Dragonborn, durable scales, plus 20% HP and height, Sharp Fangs is plus 12% physical damage, and then Dragon's Breath is a 40% chance to burn enemies and deal 30% of the weapon's damage per second for 3 seconds. This is a fantastic class. It honestly, having the Minotaur come right before it is a shame. I mean, you get 12% physical damage just for existing. You get the 20% max HP that the Minotaur gets just for existing. You don't have any of the downsides of minus stamina or minus movement speed, and you're just existing. And then on top of that as well, you basically get a free rune built into you. That's a 40% chance to deal 30% of your weapons damage as well, which does not need a weird activation like being under 58% health. Dragonborn, amazing class. It's probably, I'd say, yet another S tier. It's definitely not as good as some of the other classes. I still think Dwarf right now is better than it, but it's a good class. If you get Dragonborn, you can hold on to it for a long time until you maybe get one of the slightly better classes that we're going to be seeing later on in this video. Next up on the list is Golem. 30% health, minus 10% movement speed, and 30% size. It has Heavy Hitter, which is a 15% attack speed with heavy weapons, a 50% chance to lower incoming damage by 25%. Golem, pretty good. I actually think that it depends on the playstyle that you use. If you're using Colossal Swords or using anything big, 15% attack speed is actually really, really solid, especially if you mix it with another rune that gives you attack speed on the secondary slot of it. It's very niche. Once again, very similar to the Undead, where if you can get a use case out of it, it ends up being pretty solid. And also, it just extends your trips when you're actually farming for essences, if you're doing it in the higher level areas, because you get that 50% chance to lower incoming damage by 25%. 30% health as well is fantastic. Obviously, movement speed down is not ideal, but I would say that Golem is a pretty solid B tier class. It might be slightly higher, it might be slightly lower depending on what you use. If you're using Colossal Swords though, then this might actually rank a little bit higher for you. If you don't, it might rank a little bit lower. I'm putting it in the middle just to be safe. Next up is the Felynx, which is light-footed, a 20% stamina boost, 20% movement speed, a minus 20% dash cooldown, and also dash distance. They have a 20% chance to parry the next attack, and also a 20% attack speed damage with gauntlets. Now, this is one of the brand new classes that came out, one of the brand new races, sorry, that came out in the Forge very recently, and it's alright. It's not like crazy good, it's not crazy bad, it's like pretty solid. Everything is like a bonus here. So you like stamina boost, you like movement speed, you like cooldown reduction, and also dash distance is fine. Might not be necessarily everything that you're looking for depending on your playstyle. 20% chance to parry the next attack is pretty good as well. Any chance to not take damage is wonderful. That extends your trips. It helps you not die. And also, gauntlets are pretty good weapons as well. I don't know if the community's kind of shifted off of gauntlets, but early on in the game, gauntlets were some of the, if not the highest DPS weapons you could get. So getting 20% attack speed damage with the gauntlets is pretty nice. So I would say, as far as Felynx is concerned, it's definitely probably a high B. I'd say. If once again, this is dependent on your playstyle. If you get Felynx and you don't use gauntlets, you're probably not going to be tremendously interested in it. So I'd say we put them next to the Golem. If you use gauntlets, congrats, it's an A. If you don't use gauntlets, it might be a C, but put it in the middle, and that works for me. We're finally moving on to the mythical races in the Angel and the Demon as well. So Angel, 20% dash cooldown, dash distance, longer dash invincibility frames, movement speed, jump boost, and stamina. You get that 30% luck boost. You also get a chance to call upon a smite on hit for 30% of physical damage. And then you have infinite stamina whilst you're below 20% HP. The luck is amazing. It's a big reason why a lot of people really, really love this class. It's like one of the biggest luck boosts you can get on a class, which means better roar, which means better armor, better weapons, stronger, and more money. Having an on-hit as well, a 50% chance to call in an on-hit for 30% physical damage is really strong as well. It depends what weapon you're using, but you can very quickly stack up a lot of damage, and also just all of these stats is fantastic. There's no physical damage boosts really or anything like that, but it's still very, very solid. Holy Hand is like I think the least interesting one. Infinite stamina while below 20% health. Probably could be useful. Doesn't really come into play as far as I can tell too much, but regardless, Angel is a class that is a 100% an S rank. Sorry, it's an S rank. This is an S rank class. Next up is Demon. You know what? I should change to my Demon on the side as well while we're doing this. I should change to my Demon. Demonic power is 20% movement speed, attack speed, physical damage, stronger fire damage, 30% height, 10% width and depth. Backfire gives it a 25% chance to burn the enemy when damage is taken. Cursed Aura is while you're in combat, you have a small area around you that deals 10% damage of your weapon per second. And then instead of dashing, you actually teleport with Hellfire Particles that have a 35% chance to create a circle, dealing 45% of your weapon damage per second for 3 seconds to any enemies that are inside it. This is your combat class. This is like the pinnacle of your combat classes. Attack speed, physical damage, stronger fire damage as well, since you're going to be doing some burns with this class. AoE damage as well with the Cursed Aura. If you have like uranium on you, if you have briar notches in your armor, even when you're taking damage, you're dealing damage. I think it's pretty simple, pretty obvious that this is going to be an S tier class. I'm kind of undecided. I think like since the essence farming is like the best moneymaker in the game, it probably ranks slightly higher than the Angel, but honestly, I think it could go either way. It depends on what you prefer. Next up, we have the first divine class, the first divine race in the game, and simply put, it is both the angel and the demon put together. It has all the same abilities, all the same benefits, all the same sauce, I guess, that this would normally have. It has all the same stuff here. It doesn't get any of the attack speed and the physical damage that the demon would normally get, but it still gets the luck boost. It's going to get the Archangel Strike, which is very similar to the Angel's Holy Smite, and it's also got the chance to create that Holy Circle when you dash, which is part of what the demon does. It is a 0.1% chance. I think it's pretty obvious this is going to be up on the full S tier. I don't think it's fully had all its abilities unlocked yet, but if you get this, you're going to be holding on to it for a very, very long time. And that is the tier list for the Forge. That is for every character, every race that you could possibly get your hands on. Do you agree or do you disagree with this tier list? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I'm very happy to have a discussion and figure it all out. Until next time though, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel. See ya!